And we're live here at Hermitage Lanes for a contest between the Ezell-Harding Eagles and the Donelson Christian Academy Wildcats. Today we're going to be carrying our first ever live game of bowling, live match of bowling. This is a little bit of a complicated sport. Now, you might think, what you do is just grab a ball, throw it down the lane. But the scoring is a little bit complicated, and as a matter of fact, I'm not 100% sure that I fully understand it yet. But there is about like 27 points that you're fighting for. And what you're fighting for is you've got overall pins, you've got individual pins, you've got a ton of strategy, and we've already just kind of jumped into our first game here with basically DCA. So, August, the big question is, what do you know about bowling that can help us out here? Have you ever bowled before?
Well, not in this sort of context. I have done some recreational bowling before.
Right.
But, I mean, nothing of this sort. I do know that if you get them all, it's 10 points, and you get an extra bonus a little bit.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff that happens as far as spares and strikes go. There's some
little bonus going on there.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that one.
Well, that one I do understand. That one, what you have with a spare is if you get a spare, you get 10 points plus the first roll of your next frame.
Okay.
So, like, for instance, if you get a spare and then your next frame is a 6, then what you're going to get is you're going to get 16 points on that one frame plus the 6 that's actually going to be in that second frame.
Makes sense.
And then when you've got a strike, what it is you've got 10 points plus however many points is in the total of the next frame. So if you have like 9, then you get 9 total. If you get like a 6 and then 3, you'd still get 9 points added into that, so it's going to be 19. That's why you want to try to rack up strikes, because a strike is actually going to double up on itself. So it ends up being like 30 points the longer you go. Well, we're off and rolling, literally here at the Hermitage Lanes. We've got multiple contests going on. The two biggest contests right now are going to be lanes 1 and 2, which are what most people are going to say are the perennial bests of Ezell-Harding and DCA. And so I'll kind of run through lane 1 and lane 2. Lane 1 has DCA's Ryan Dewey. He's rolling first. He will be rolling pretty much against Kyle Maxon, who is the number 1 here for Ezell-Harding. DCA is also rolling at number 2, Reed Axtrowitz. Very difficult name to say. However, I'm hoping that we could call him Reed A from now on. And also you're going to have, he's going to roll against Austin Binkley, and then Donnie Turner is going to be rolling against Al Batson. And so that's going to be one of those contests that's going to be very hotly contested. On lanes 3 and 4 of the guys, you have kind of your B team, if you really want to say it that way, your B team. So it's all strategy. It's who you want to roll against, because what's going to happen is if Ryan Dewey, who's on lane 1, rolls against Kyle Maxon, and Kyle wins, okay, that's great. That's great. But if that's your best on your best, you have kind of ruined yourself just a little bit. So what you have is you have number 2 is also going against number 2, so Reed A versus Austin Binkley. And so if Binkley walks away with a win, you're actually tied, and it's down to that third person. So the question is, where do you put your best bowler? Where do you put your second best bowler? Where do you put your third best bowler? And at this point right now, it's looking like right now that that DCA is up a little bit. They've had a couple strikes in there on the first frame. Their number 1 guy is at 27 with a little bit of a split. That looks like a 7-10 split, which means their first roller, Ryan Dewey, is at about 35 points, which means that he's going up against Kyle Maxon, who right now has an 8 on the frame along with a strike, which means that if he carries it through, he's actually going to be able to go up just a little bit here. You know, August, it's weird because I feel like we're kind of new to this whole bowling scene.
We are.
And so we're kind of learning stuff as we watch. We're learning stuff as we watch here. What we're learning here is that it's looking like each team actually is going to be rolling as a team, and then the next team will take over. And so what's going to happen? We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty here. Sorry, you just cover that up a little bit. I guess. Okay. Well. I think we're back here. We've been having a little bit of a volume issue. Apparently, everybody in Hermitage Lanes could hear us because of the volume that was going on in one of our headphones here. All right, so a quick scan of our boards, which I realize that you guys can't see because we don't actually have a widget for it, which means, you know, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to talk to Play on Sports about that, the TSSAA guys, to get us a bowling widget. Because I feel like, you know, if you guys really wanted to see the score here, we can't really keep up with it right now, which is okay. We'll learn from that as we go. But a quick scan of the boards here is on 1 and 2, your total pins is about 135 right now. DCA's got about 135 total in about the fourth frame. And then also on the fourth frame is Ezell-Harding, who has about 132. So 135 to 132. It's a pretty even match.
And what I'm seeing here is, so far, Kyle Maxon has the high score.
Yes.
Out of all the lanes, with 65 in the fourth frame.
That's right, rolling a 65. Followed very, very closely by what looks like Wes Anderson from DCA, who's rolling a 62 right now on lane number 3. And it's looking like DCA on lanes 3 and 4 are just pulling away. Right now, they're at 188. They've got 188 points compared to Ezell-Harding's B team, which has about 51. So what we need to do here is we need to line it up, roll it down, get some good stuff going, have some fun, get some strikes, frankly. We need some strikes over there or some spares. It doesn't really matter. Just strike, spares, play on. We need to get there. As far as the girls are going, just taking a quick scan over the one seed and 2 seed here. You have Ezell-Harding looks like they are pulling away just a little bit here on the on this side. Well, actually, I take that back. DCA is pulling away. They've got about 148 on lane 5, and they also have 87 to Ezell-Harding's 87 on lane 6. Which is a bit rough. It's not insurmountable. You never know what happens. You can roll through here and grab some good spares. And then on the far side, on 7 and 8, what you've got is Ezell-Harding at 110, and you've got DCA at about 59. So it's getting a little bit more even over there. You know, this kind of reminds me of when I was in high school. This is kind of like a frantic pace. Everybody's just throwing as much as they possibly can. There's some strategy going on, but the strategy is happening with the coaches, really.
Yes.
You know, because what you're going to do, this is a very much an individual sport with a team component. So you basically have your coaches, and Ezell-Harding coaches are Coach Abbey and Coach Reynolds. And they have a roster of about 34 people, guys and girls, 34, just crazy number of people who are going to be able to do the sport. But you pretty much try to put your best out there against their best. It's a lot of strategy on how you're going to win matches, how you're going to win lanes, who's going to match up well. And the question is whether or not you can actually, you know, shift your players where you need to shift your players. So there's a lot of movement. you'll see DCA's coach. DCA's coach has been running in between every single lane just to see who's doing good. He's giving them coaching advice. He's coaching them up, basically telling them, here's what you need to do. Here's where your arms need to go. Same thing with Coach Reynolds over here on lanes 1 and 2. Looking over at our scores, Austin Binkley is about to roll for Ezell-Harding. And as Austin Binkley rolls, it'll get Ezell-Harding through the 5th frame. And through the 5th frame, it's looking like Ezell-Harding is going up against 242 of DCA. And depending on how Austin Binkley rolls here will depend on how far we get. Well, Austin Binkley rose well enough that we're at 252 now through 5. So Ezell-Harding is up just a little bit going through.
Kyle Maxon has 2 strikes going in there for the 5th and the 6th frame.
You know what we call that when we get 3 strikes, right?
Turkey.
A turkey. I'm not 100% sure why it's called a turkey.
Maybe that just happened on Thanksgiving for the first time ever.
Possibly. Maybe it happened on that. We could probably look that up. I'm sure that's Googleable. I bet we could Google that.
Everything's Googleable.
That's right. Jason Charlton's giving us a shout-out from Paducah, Kentucky. He's watching us on the TSSAA network here, which is exciting because, this is the first live stream of a bowling match, which is rather comical because I'm not 100% sure that I've watched a TV match of bowling before.
I don't know if it's sad or intriguing that I actually have.
That's incredible. I mean,
but I don't think it was actually a bowling competition. It was more or less trick shot bowling.
Trick shot bowling. That's pretty intense.
Those are very interesting to watch because they'll start jumping pins 3 lanes down.
That would be impressive. Unfortunately, I do that without trying. That's my problem, is the fact that I'll roll a ball and then all of a sudden the pin will be 175 miles away. I won't know what's happening. Somebody from lane 24 is yelling at me. I'm on lane 1. I don't know what's going on. Let's be honest, it's looking like this lane 1 and 2. That's going to be the most hotly contested one. Now, every single lane, however, makes a difference. Every lane makes a difference. So you're going up against their top one on each one. So if you're the first seed on lane 5, you're going up against lane 6, first seed. Now you're going to have a total number of pins that's going to be impressive, that's going to be interesting in each match. However, what you're trying to do is you're trying to match that first person. So as we kind of scan across, what we've got is DCA is up on the on lanes 1 and 2 on each of their players. On lane 3 and 4, what we've got is it's looking like DCA is up on all 3 players there. On lane 5 and 6, DCA is up all 3 players. And on lane 7 and 8, it's looking like as of right now, DCA is up on all 3 players. So right now, it's pretty much a...
Actually, on lane 5 and 6, it's the other way around. Ezell's on the left side.
Oh, Ezell's on the left side. That's wonderful.
So they are up on all 3.
That's brilliant. We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. Because every single one of those is going to help us out. Every single one's gonna make a difference.
Definitely.
Now it's a long match. It's a long match. So you've got 3 separate games that are going to have to be played, and the pin totals for all of them are going to be calculated up. Strategy going on. Individual players trying to get their season highs. Now we don't actually have a list of season highs, but I can tell you this: I'm not ashamed to admit this. The highest I've ever bowled in my entire life was a 182.
It's higher than I've ever gotten.
I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting. What we're going to try to do real quickly is kind of zoom in on Austin Binkley. If we can zoom in on Austin Binkley here, who's about to roll for this spare. See whether or not he can connect on it. He got the spin and he got the spare in.
Picks it up very nicely.
That's right. Anytime you can get that curve in, really, frankly, all my life I was wondering why there were like random triangles about like a third of the way up. I was very confused by that as a small child. I was like, why in the world are there triangles on here? Well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find your angle and you're trying to find your mark. So what you do is you stand in a very specific spot and you're trying to roll to a specific spot.
Yeah.
If you have a curve on your shot, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to angle it in a very specific way. Like for instance, Al Batson has a very, very stiff curve, right? He's going to basically take his all the way from one side and it's going to curve around. A couple of these kids from DCA also have those as well. Now you can do the straight line shot, like for instance, just a second ago, Evan Wisdom threw just straight line shot straight down there. That's going to be great. However, sometimes that sets you up for these splits, right, which are where you have the pins that are further apart than just right next to each other.
And those are definitely hard to pick up, especially when you get that 7-10.
7-10 split, right, exactly. Now, the 7-10 split, obviously, much like a baseball field, pins have positions, right? So your top one is going to be 1 all the way down to 7, 8, 9, 10 along the back. So 7 is your furthest one on the very, very back line. 10 is your furthest one on the other side of the back line. So that's why you're called 7-10 splits. But you can have multiple splits. Like, for instance, on this number 5, lane number 5, there was a split right there. There's pretty much a,
that is
basically
a
7-9 split. Not too severe, but she probably could have pulled that out. She probably might be able to pull this out. It's all about angles.
Yes.
It's
a game of angles.
That's right, a game of angles. Like, I'm pretty sure John Suttles would love this game because it is all about geometry. It is all about basically like physics, how far something, if it's hit, can slide over and hit something else. It's all about higher math, like higher addition, multiplying in with your strikes, with your spares, how many points you can get on a regular basis.
Mason Johnson just threw his second strike in a row.
Mason Johnson, 2 strikes in a row. The gentle giant, I like to call him, the gentle giant. It's looking like on lanes 1 and 2, we're nearing the end of those games. As of right now, the number 1 on DCA is beating Kyle Maxon. It's all about whether or not he picked up that spare, and yes, in fact, they are still beating Kyle Maxon. The number 2 is pretty close. Pretty close, however, going into the 9th frame, the second for DCA has a strike on the frame, which means if you've ever watched kind of like the scoring of bowling, if you get a strike, they're not going to show your actual score yet.
Yes.
It just counts as 10 points because as of right now, it's 10 points. At the end of your next frame, it'll actually double up depending on how many you actually get, how many points you actually get. So as of right now, DCA is up just a little bit on that frame. And then the final person on that frame as well is up. And over there, it is 474 points to Ezell-Harding's 368, or 386, which means that 10th frame is going to be pretty critical for Ezell-Harding, especially over there.
There's not a whole lot to say right now with all the different games going on.
Yeah, I know. It's almost information overload sometimes.
It is.
We are nearing completion to some of these games, so we'll have something a little bit pretty close to report.
Looks like lanes 3 and 4 are into the 10th frame and about to finish.
Yep. All right. It looks like Wes Anderson came down with a 151, which is pretty respectable. That means that he does edge out Mason Johnson, who rolled a 107. So on that one's pretty much decided. It looks looking like Evan Wisdom is finishing up his frame as well. Brian Montefer comes away with 42 points in his first game. He's just warming up, I'm hoping.
Yes.
And then Evan finishes with a 104. So on that basically third and fourth lanes, it's looking like DCA pretty much walks away with a clean sweep there.
With a total of 507.
507, they're not even done yet. So actually you've got Robbie Murphy, who's finishing up his frame right now. Just missed a spare. Just a bit inside. He finishes up with a 149. It's looking like they're pretty even. So 151, 149, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, Ross Dewey is just lighting it up. In his final frame, he's already got 207 going into the 10th frame, and he just rolls a strike, which means that he's already at 227. He has at the very least 2 more rolls left. It's also looking like the lanes 1 and lanes 2 are finishing up as well. Lanes 1 and lanes 2 are finishing up as well. The number one seed of DCA, Ryan Dewey, who's the brother of the guy who's lighting it up, Ross Dewey, got a 223 against Kyle Maxon's 187. So that's actually going to be a one to watch in the next game. You've got Reed Axterwitz, who's going into the 10th frame, 146, who's rolling against our number 2, which is going to be Austin Binkley, who rolled a 141. So he's already won no matter what he does. He could roll gutter balls for the rest and be okay. And then DCA's number 3 guy on that 1 and 2, who is Donnie Turner, has already rolled a turkey, so we don't actually have his full stats, but he's at 180 against Al Batson's 130 rolling into this final frame. So it's looking like no matter what happens there, they've already gotten the victory on the first 3. Lanes 3 and 4, clean sweep as well for DCA, so they won all those matches there. As far as the girls go, the girls should be finishing up in the next little bit. Lanes 5 and 6 are the next ones that we're on. We've got Morgan Atkinson, who's rolling. And as I kind of look at that screen, it actually is that Ezell-Harding is technically on the 6th lane, and DCA is on the 5th as far as scoring goes. So it's looking like DCA has got a pretty commanding lead when it comes down to 5 and 6 as well. Some strikes rolling in there, some good spares. Highest scores there, 152, 149, 105. Ezell-Harding, who's going into its final frame. You know, unless Shaylee De La Cruz comes over here and just rolls a turkey in the final frame, you know, like that would be beautiful. However, that's going to be the only thing that's really going to save that area over there. Now, I'm not a huge follower of Ezell-Harding bowling at this point right now, so I don't necessarily know how strong they are this time. But it's looking like we've got some respectable throws here. We've got some stuff we need to clean up. We've also got a team of about 34, so surely there's going to be some people waiting in the wings here who are going to be able to play in. How are we looking over on 7 and 8?
7 and 8, it's looking they're just finishing up the 9th frame.
Everybody at DCA over about 100, so the bottom rung over there is 108, 110, 126. And Ezell-Harding is averaging about
50.
About 50 for each player. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Oh, over here, we've got something special going on over here on lane 1. We have 5 strikes in a row right now. He's rolling for a 6th strike in a row to finish out the game. This could be pretty intense right here. This could be one of those ones where you have 250s, 250 if he rolls all of this. And he does finish out with a strike. Wow. 240 points. Just stealing the game. Stealing the game.
Well, that's more than double than I could ever do.
If I was on the Wii, I would be close, I think, to that. However, I don't think I can necessarily get anywhere close in real life to this. I think once all the matches go over, what we're probably going to have to do is we're probably going to have to move our camera so that we can see this 1 and 2 match.
Yes.
Because I think it'll be a little bit easier for us to just kind of focus on that as opposed to having a little bit of information overload. And we'll update you occasionally as it comes down to the other games. But as of right now, there are, let's see.
3 games finished.
3 games finished. So that's 18 bowlers who are now done with a grand total of basically 6 more players to play whose games are all but decided at this point right now. They're rolling for fun at this point right now. And as soon as we finish up that little area over there on 7 and 8, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of move back over to our lanes 1 and 2 so that we can get just kind of exclusive action to see whether or not, well, frankly, to see whether or not we can see another one of those 250 games up close, you know?
Yes.
I mean, that's beautiful to watch. That's exciting to watch. Hey, at the break, what we're going to do is we're just going to move this over here. We're going to watch 1 and 2 and not even worry about it. So if we want to I feel like we need some gophers over here to go get us some food or something like that, you know? I think that's what you do at bowling alleys, right?
Yeah.
Bowling alleys, you go and get like a Dr. Pepper, massively unhealthy food.
You got to get some fries. Bowling alley fries.
Yeah, bowling alley fries. That's right.
If only I had some money.
Chomp down on that. I think we might need to get somebody in on that or something like that. I don't know. Well, in the waning stages of this right here, what we're going to do is, DCA yelling. That's exciting. Get their little grunts out. That's excellent. Lane 7 and 8 are finishing up, and I think as soon as they're actually done, what we're going to do is we're going to be able to have kind of a clean slate for this next round, for this next game. And so in the middle of this time, what we're going to do is we probably should, I think we have some form of commercial. Do we have a commercial?
We do. We do indeed.
What we'll do is we'll get a commercial rolling, and in that time what we'll do is we'll move the camera over to actually lanes 1 and 2. And it looks like we're back. We've moved the camera over so that you have a little bit of a better angle of what's looking like is going to be the most hotly contested match between Kyle Maxon, Austin Binkley, and Al Batson, and DCA's top three, which is going to be Ryan Dewey, Reed Axterwitz, and Donnie Turner.
Who just scored a 240.
Yeah, 240. Donnie Turner with a 240, and that is funny because he was actually one of three in that entire round on DCA who scored over 200. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that there wasn't an Ezell-Harding person who scored over 200 yet. We got pretty close with a good 180, however, over 200, which is pretty intense. Pretty intense. It's almost like that's the line that you need, really, to just kind of go over that line of 200, and you're going to be able to be strong. But on lanes 1 and 2, what we've got is, as of right now, our two bowlers are about 2 frames in. Basically, each side is about 2 frames in. You've got bowler number 1 and bowler number 2 of DCA who are at about 30 each, as well as bowler number 3 who's at 30. At Ezell-Harding, what we've got is Kyle Maxon, who's rolling 50 right now, which is brilliant, and Austin Binkley, who's rolling just under 30, which means as of right now, they are ahead of their 2 players that they have to roll against at DCA. We're out for just a minute there because we have somebody who's going to come by and actually get us some food, which is great. Just a little bit of bowling alley food, just to make the experience like doubly worth it. Bowling alley food is part of the reason why you come here, frankly.
For some people, that's the only reason. For
some people, that is the only reason. I mean, you come here. Bowling is a lot like fishing. I think of bowling like fishing, like. Yeah, sure. Well, and that's partially because I'm not good at bowling. So start there. So for me, bowling is like, it's all about who you're sitting by. It's not necessarily how big of a fish you catch. It's all about who you're sitting by. And so for me, that's how bowling has been. However, for these guys, they seem just a bit more intense about bowling than, me personally. Now, if we were sitting down with Wii bowling, I would be probably pretty intense. I mean, 240... I would be a little bit angry.
I don't think one can possibly get intense at Wii bowling. I didn't know that was possible.
Oh, I go all out. I've got bowling shorts. I wear bowling shoes. I even have a bowling jersey, much like DCA. I've got a bowling jersey that I wear for my Wii bowling.
Just for your Wii bowling?
Yeah, it actually makes me match my me. It's actually pretty comical. It's interesting because it looks like it's a bowling version of me on the screen while I'm there. And I know half of the people who are listening to this, and by half of this I mean just Jason Charlton, has this mental image of me in a Wii bowling suit, which is rather comical. I think what's equally comical about that is the fact that Wii bowling, they have no arms.
They don't. I still haven't figured that one out. How do they possibly throw the ball with no arms?
I don't know. They have like round things that are nubs that are somehow hanging onto the bowling ball, which is pretty impressive, frankly. All right, as we look over to our, I'd say, game of the match. We'll call it the game of the match. What we've got is DCA right now, who's rolling through what looks like to be their fourth frame, or at least beginning their fifth frame. It's looking like who have a pretty good lead just because they're one frame up right now, and it's kind of setting the stage for what exactly Ezell-Harding has to do in order to beat them. So as of right now, if you can see this, what we've got is DCA has pretty much rolled a 9 on lane number 1, and on lane number 2, their guy has gotten a strike. So that are about 97 for their roller number 1, and they're going to be somewhere in the range of probably high 70s for their number 2, as well as number 3 is also at high 70s. He'll be at low 80s by the time we're at the next one. So Ezell-Harding has a lot of work to do. However, it's looking like this is going to be the game of the match when it comes down to Kyle, Austin, Al rolling exactly what they need to do. Just to update you on the rest of the lanes. As far as the girls go, they're just now starting, so just kind of getting kicked off. We'll see how that goes. It's looking like on the farthest lane, DCA is up by about 5, but that's able to be made up for by 3 people, and then on the on lanes 5 and 6, they're up by about 6, which frankly is way, way, way easy to catch up to. As a matter of fact, as of right now, Ezell-Harding just went up by 8 points.
And DCA up by about 100 on the lanes 3 and 4.
Yeah, they are. DCA in about the 5th frame has gotten to the point that their guys are looking for blood. Frankly, are looking for blood here, and they're trying to take it out. So Ezell-Harding is trying to get over that elusive 50 pins, which averages about 10 per frame. But unfortunately, when you're rolling against DCA, you need to get a bit more than 10 per frame. You need to be hitting your spares. You need to be hitting your strikes. You need to be stacking up points because that's what pretty much DCA is going to do every time. Oh, this is exciting. We're getting some food coming in here. Nothing says bowling like nachos and cheese. Get a little taste of this. That's good stuff. That's just as unhealthy as I remember it when I was growing up. What's the best bowling food? What reminds you of bowling?
The lunch cafeteria.
The lunch cafeteria. Why does the lunch cafeteria remind you of bowling?
Because Tuesdays is a heart attack on a plate day.
What does that mean?
Heart attack on a plate day is they've got fries, nacho cheese, and taco meat.
All right.
They also have taco shells, but no one ever gets them.
Nobody ever gets them.
No. When you've got the option of getting nacho fries or an actual taco, you're always going to take the fries.
Absolutely. I mean, you can stack and go as opposed to getting... Yeah, exactly. Very true. As we look over into...
Austin Binkley doing really well this set. He's actually beating his competitor, Reed Axterwitz. Is that right?
Axterwitz, I believe that's right.
Who has... Well, actually, they're just about tied. Reed with a 131 and Austin with a 129, but he also has 4 consecutive strikes.
4 consecutive strikes, which means that that's going to skew the statistics just a little bit because they're only going to, on our visible area over here, they're only going to give you 10 points for each one that hasn't actually gotten their full score yet.
And same thing happening between Kyle Maxon and Ryan Dewey. Looks like it's about 125 to 119.
That's
so
right.
Very close over there.
Each one sitting on a strike that, frankly, just needs to be recovered here. And Kyle Maxon comes away with a 9 on the 7th frame.
Just missed the
just
spare.
Just a little bit. Now, according to the stats here, he's tied. However, unfortunately, Ryan Dewey does have a strike on the board, which means everything that he has is multiplied here. So unless he gutters out, he's going to be ahead of Kyle by the end of this one.
And we'll pan over to the girls here.
Okay.
Pan over to the girls, take a look. All 4 lanes are just now getting into the fifth frames with, looks like DCA and Ezell-Harding both looks like just about tied in lanes 5 and 6.
Pretty close, yeah. Pretty close. Especially as far as points go. It's looking like kind of the one-on-one battles. DCA is just kind of pulling away just a little bit there. And so what Ezell-Harding has to do here is connect on some spares. Anytime they leave something free, they need to come back and they need to basically take care of it. Luckily, DCA, especially on lane number 5, had a 7-10 split there, and there's not much you can do there. I mean, unless you have just an unbelievable arm and are able to throw it in there, very little that you can actually do. One of the closer battles is going on in lanes 7 and 8, where actually, as of right now, the first person of Ezell-Harding on lane 8.
Or no, that is
Haley is actually up by 1 on the first person for DCA. We've got a little technical difficulty with the Hermitage lanes. You know, sometimes those pins, they just get knocked out.
They just fly backwards at you.
You know, poor Mason Johnson's just throwing that little thing so hard as hard as he possibly can. Pins don't know what to do with themselves. They just kind of jump away.
Away from the ball.
I mean, I would. I'd get a strike every single time if Mason Johnson was throwing a ball at me. I can tell you that much right now.
That's for certain.
I suppose that's probably why he plays football, too. It's looking like on lane 7 and 8, what we've got DCA pulling away just a little bit in the first slot of the girls. Second slot, what we've got is we've actually got a tie. Well, just pulled ahead as well over there with 2 strikes. And the third frame is actually pretty even.
Yeah.
For the girls.
39-34 is pretty close on Allison's part.
Austin Binkley rolling a strike over on lane 1. Which is exactly what he needed to pull up here.
Back to lanes 1 and 2.
He's got a strong lead right now on DCA's player that he's playing against. He's at about 182 with 2 strikes, whereas DCA's player is at about 141. depending on what he does here. Yeah, they are just matching each other. They are matching each other.
They
2
are.
strikes from DCA's. Luckily, Austin Binkley is up by still about 20 points. So what happens in that 10th frame over there on that far side is going to be pretty intense.
It will be the deciding factor in that matchup.
That's exactly right. Al Batson also has an opportunity here if he just comes away with some like miraculous work in the 10th frame to be able to pull away, because DCA is up by about 20 there as well on him. So really Austin Binkley has the best chance as of right now to pull away from their DCA counterpart.
Overall, though, they're not looking too bad in the frames. DCA's got 497 and Ezell 454. So a little bit of a lead, but not one that can't be overtaken.
Definitely not insurmountable. And remember, DCA is also rolling the 10th frame first, so those numbers are a little bit skewed.
Yes.
Because you're counting DCA's 10th frame, even though it's looking like their first guy has already rolled 2 strikes in the 10th frame. So we'll kind of see what he how he comes away. DCA's top 3 are coming on strong right now. Every single one of them have rolled at least 2 strikes in the final last throws that they've thrown, which is pretty intense. And DCA's number 1 seed, who's going against Kyle Maxon, finishes with a turkey and 199.
Didn't break the 200, though.
He did not break the 200, which is a moral victory for Ezell-Harding, I think. Kyle Maxon, who's at 163 right now. I'm not 100% sure that it's mathematically possible for him to come back, especially with an 8 right there. However, he can make this respectable, especially as far as pinfall goes, because remember, there are points added for how many pins you actually do knock over. Kyle Maxon finishes with a 181, just about 17 points behind his DCA counterpart, which is pretty respectable. I mean, that puts it in the striking distance, especially for Austin Binkley, if Austin Binkley can finish out here. Austin is already up on his DCA counterpart here because of the strike there, and DCA's counterpart here finished with a 188. Austin Binkley just went over 200 at 209, and he's got, at the very least, one more roll left.
Well, if he picks up the spare here and he misses, so he will finish with the 209, I do believe.
Yeah, that is correct, 209.
So he beats out Reed Astrowitz.
Gaining 1 point for Ezell-Harding.
Al Batson, however, is on the flip side, down nearly 100 points.
Nearly 100 points, which is, frankly, insurmountable.
Yes.
In the 10th frame.
Especially with Donnie Turner already having 4 strikes in a row and going for his turkey in the 10th frame alone.
Which, by the way, he did last time.
He did.
Yeah. So this is not exactly new territory for Donnie Turner. Oh, he misses it just a little bit. Still ends up with a 136, or 236. Al Batson trying to finish strong. Rolls another strike, so he just hit a turkey. 3 in a row.
Currently has a 169, trying to get the 4th strike.
That's exactly right. And really here, you're just trying to make sure that you keep yourself close.
And he gets it.
He finishes it. Look at that. 4 strikes in a row to end the game for Al Batson to finish with 179. It's very respectable. You can tell by looking at Al's face that he's a little frustrated. He kind of wishes that he had thrown earlier, but that's okay. He'll come back and he'll come back and play strong. All right, what we're going to do real quick is we're going to interview Kyle Maxon. He's finished up his game. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good, excellent. All right, so I see over here you've rolled a 181. That's pretty respectable, but what do you got to do to overcome this, frankly, well-rolling DCA offense here?
We just got to get more strikes.
Just got to roll in more strikes, is it?
Clean up spares. We'll do good.
What are some tips for those who are not exactly the greatest bowlers in the world like myself? What are you looking to do to try to clean this up?
Just be consistent and adjust.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So I saw over here that Binkley actually came away with 1 point, it's looking like, because he beat his guy.
Yeah.
How does this scoring system work? What are you trying to do? In your head, are you trying to just, demolish everything? Is it really going against you and the DCA guy, or is it, just an overall, I just want to bowl well by myself?
Yeah, I just try to focus on bowling well for myself, keep the average up.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk to Binkley here, who's also over here as we wait in for the third game to show up. For that third game, elusive third game who's coming up. Binkley, you just came away with a solid 209 score. Missed that final one for the spare there at the very end, which is okay, but you came away clipping that 200 mark here. What does that mean for you right now?
That's a pretty good score for me. I'm going to try to keep it up and get better next game. I got 60 points better than last game, so maybe we can get that going.
I mean, if you get 60 more,
yeah, that's right.
That's going to be like a 269. I mean,
Yeah,
that would be
great.
brilliant. All right,
Great.
so what made the difference between last game and this game? What was different about your throwing this time?
Last game was the first time I've bowled since last school year, so that's probably what it is.
So you're coming off fresh. What you're just telling me is that you bowled a 209 in the second game you've played since last year.
Yeah, that's right.
That is ridiculous. All right, well played.
Well, thank you.
All right, so what are you looking for in this third and final game that you guys are going to do? What are you going to try to do? Where's your head at right now?
Like a score?
Yeah. What's your goal?
225.
225. Brilliant. You heard it there.
That'd be great.
That would be great. Because they're rolling pretty well.
Yeah, they're really well.
Yeah, man. All right, we'll let you get back on over there.
All right, thank you.
Tear it up. Good job. Thank you for coming over here and interviewing. Kyle Maxon going to give a shout out real quick.
I'd like to say thanks all for watching, and shout out to David Best up in Knoxville watching this. He was a great bowler last year, and that's all.
Awesome. It's interesting how many people we have in Knoxville who listen. I know that Drew Nix and Blake Barton were listening. Apparently David Best is now listening. The dulcet tones of myself and August Wiles here. I'm sure he is just super excited about listening to our commentary on, frankly, one of the most interesting and weird games in American sport.
Probably so.
This is kind of that game that I remember watching when it wasn't football season, and you would turn it to ESPN, and it would always
bowling
on like a Sunday morning. You know what I'm talking about? And there's bowling. You've got these guys who are running up, who throw their leg out like 175 feet, and that ball curves in from like the very edge. It looks like it's going to go into the gutter, like mine does all the time, and then all of a sudden it's a strike. I just don't understand it. It's that twist of the wrist that has to happen. All right, let's check our scores here as we look across the board. DCA has on lanes 1 and 2, DCA won 2 of the 3. On lanes 3 and 4 versus our B guys, DCA has won 3 of 3. On lanes 5 and 6 versus the girls, your A girls, looks like DCA's up 3 to 3. And even though Shaylee just came away with a strike right there, which she was super excited about, cheering as loud as she possibly can for herself. And then finally on the far side for 7 and 8, it's looking like DCA is up. Again, 3. All 3 of them are up. However, the third player, Allison, looks like she is within striking distance of that final player, as she's only down by 11. So a good solid 8th, 9th, and 10th frame could probably set her up pretty well. And it's looking like we're back. All right, we're in the third and final game of our contest with DCA. As of right now, the total pinfall for DCA has been just staggering, even though we pulled out a moral victory with Austin Binkley actually beating his opponent in the last game, Reed Axterwitz, which I've had trouble pronouncing all game. So we're into about the third game for both of the guys. The girls are finishing up. Lanes 7 and 8 are finishing up game 2. They'll be done relatively soon. The guys over on lane 1 have pretty much just gotten it off exactly where they ended. But the beauty of this is that Ezell-Harding began the game with 3 strikes for all 3 of their players, Austin Binkley, Al Batson, and Kyle Maxson. Both rolled strikes for their first frames, whereas DCA has rolled only 1 strike for their players. Which means you would naturally assume that that's got to give them a leg up. That's got to be kind of like a personal victory to basically begin a game up after you played really, really well in the last game as well.
Kyle's up now to get his second strike. And he nails it, almost getting a 7-10 split, but it just fell down.
Kyle Maxson does roll his second strike in the frame. Austin Binkley to follow. Also comes through with a strike. Look at that. 5 Ezell-Harding strikes in a row. Austin Binkley, who tried as much as he possibly can to say he's going to try to hit 225 in this game, which would be pretty good because if he can do that, there's a great chance that they can pull away just a little bit here.
And here's Al Batson.
Al Batson comes up, rolling a strike on the last frame. Oh, he comes down, leaving 1 frame, one pin left. The 10 spot here.
The 10 pin just playing tricks on him. Kyle getting a turkey on frame 3.
Kyle Maxson getting it done. 3 strikes in a row to begin the game.
And Austin Binkley right following behind him.
Al Batson finishes off the spare. Austin Binkley comes.
Gets it done.
Gets it. Austin Binkley doing work. That's 3 strikes in a row for Kyle Maxson. 3 strikes in a row for Austin Binkley. Al Batson has a strike and a spare that he finished off, which of all the times to do it at the very beginning is the best time to do it. Al Batson has an opportunity here to solidify a very, very strong position for Ezell-Harding here if he can roll in a strike.
Which he does.
Look at that. Comes in the clutch. It's looking like he's going to have a 50. And Austin Binkley and Kyle Maxson, the highest you can get right now is a 60 in there. That's where they're at in the 3rd frame.
Quick shout out.
For kids' names you have, these are people who have changed.
For lane 1?
Actually, this is on the first, this is like 1A and 2A, and this is 1B and 2B.
Quick, they had some bowling changes for DCA, which Robert is getting right now. But I will quickly go through the scores for the girls' side of the games. DCA has beaten out Ezell-Harding 6 out of 6. All of their players breaking 100, and our closest being Allison getting a 99. Doesn't look too bad overall for Ezell-Harding. Strong competitors overall. Just missing some good bowling opportunities, though.
All right, a little bit of an update. For those of you who are unaware of high school bowling, kind of the way that it works, there's a grand total of 27 points that you're playing for. So you have head-to-head, you have basically match total pinfall points, you have various other like markers here that you get points for. It's pretty much a race to 14 total points because, you know, they're split as much as you possibly can. You have the opportunity to get basically in the 2 games you're going for 14 points. There's 27 total possible points. DCA has already gotten 15 points. So in essence, they have already won the match. So they've gone ahead and put in some of their subs. So Reed Axterwitz has been subbed in by a guy named John Olson, who now has the difficult task of bowling against Austin Binkley, who obviously rolled a 209 in the last frame or in the last game. So that's going to be probably a struggle for him as he's fresh off. He's trying to jump in there. However, Kyle is still rolling against Ryan Dewey. Al Batson still rolling against Johnny Turner, who, as at the very beginning, we remember, rolled a 240, just absolutely closing out that game strong. As I look over at the scores, it's looking like Kyle Maxon and Austin Binkley
Still just keeping the strikes going.
Keep it rolling. So you've got basically 4 strikes in a row for each of them. They're at 90 points a pop. Al Batson is not exactly a slouch right now either, as he's sitting there with a 68, and the guy he's rolling against right now has a 50, even though he is finishing up his frame very, very strong as well, as he just finished out with a 9 or with a strike as well. So we'll see whether or not Ezell-Harding can keep up the heat on this first round, and then the girls are going to begin shortly in their third game as well. John Olson, the guy who came in for brand new for Axterwitz, just rolls a strike over there. It's looking like everybody at DCA right now is rolling in the 70s. Now the DCA's round is through, it's looking like Ezell-Harding is going to have 3 shots in a row that are going to be us. Kyle Maxon misses the 5th strike in a row, however, knocks down 9. He's going to be able to finish off this spare like he was talking about in our break when we interviewed him. He said one of the best things that they can do is finish off these spares, keep bowling consistent.
He picks up the spare, putting him at 119.
It's always good in the 5th frame to hit over 100. You know, because it puts you on pace to get over 200, which seems to be kind of the magic number at this point. Anybody who's getting over 200 is pretty much winning. It's just a question of how much they're winning by.
Austin Binkley also breaking his strike streak. Bet you can't say that 10 times fast.
I wouldn't want to. I might be able to, but I don't know. He finishes off that spare. Well done. That's not going to hurt him too badly in the long run. Kyle Maxon at 119, Austin Binkley at 114.
Donnie Turner just picking up a 7-10 split over there.
Donnie Turner with a 7-10 split. We might have to get that on highlights. I hope we actually can get that on highlights. A 7-10 split picked up. That's impressive. Al Batson waves his hands like I don't really know what's going on right now. I'd be intimidated, too, if somebody just hit a 7-10 split in front of me.
Kyle getting his 5th strike of the round. And Austin Binkley trying to follow suit.
Al Batson with 2 consecutive 9-point rounds. It happens. It happens to every good bowler. It happens to every wee bowler. It doesn't really matter who you are or how old you are. You're going to roll some non-spare, non-strike games. That's just kind of how it goes. Austin Binkley with the lucky strike. They were just falling down, falling down, falling down. Finally, the last one falls after about 3 seconds.
Got a tie on lanes 3 and 4 between Looks like Ethan McKay and Brian Montefer, both at 39 in the 5th frame. But as you said earlier, the head-to-head matches don't really matter anymore because they've already won the points for that.
Well, I suppose it's a matter of pride at this point, you know. It's kind of a look, yeah, they've got 14 points. There are still 13 points left over. Let's try to get as many of those 13 points as you possibly can just to make it so that, you know, it's respectable.
Yeah.
Kyle Maxon comes up, try to knock down this spare on the, and he does on lane 2. Kyle Maxon playing all out here. He's got a 159 with the spare, and it's great in about the 7th frame. Austin Binkley comes up with a 124. Right now, soundly beating his opponent. Correction from last time, by the way, that was not a strike that fell down. That was actually going to be a spare. He apparently had missed the first group. It's unfortunate, but, you know, I have to mention it now.
Still does keep the bonuses going with that spare.
That's exactly right.
He did just get 7, so that puts it for a total of 17 on that pass.
That's exactly
frame.
right. Misses the head pin. Comes away with 9 on that one. That's the first one that he's actually let go there. That's one of the first ones that he hasn't actually finished off. But that's tricky. That 3 when they're in a clump there, if you hit that head pin, sometimes you miss the back 2. And sometimes if you have a curve, kind of like Austin Binkley does on your shot, you try to come in and it just launches off. It just doesn't work. Al Batson does come in, though, and finish up pretty strong with the strike, putting him within striking distance with about 10 of his player.
Pun not intended, striking distance.
Striking distance. I didn't even see that pun coming. Well done. I'm cheesy sometimes and don't even know it.
It's just in your nature.
I know, it's true. It's being around 8th graders all day long. That's just kind of how it goes.
Just happens to you. There's a great bowl-off, I guess you would say, going on between Kyle and his competitor.
That's right, going strong. Kyle at 175 right now. His competitor does have a spare on the frame and is at 153. Kyle finishing off the spare.
Puts him at 177 with a spare bonus at the end.
He's only left one frame open so far, which is great. Because what you want to do is you want to get as many of these multipliers as you possibly can, whether they're spares or strikes or anything like that. And Kyle is just not letting anybody have it. Austin Binkley comes in with a strike as well on his frame. He's at about 150 right now. His competitor, who is going for a spare right here, has one single pin left. Is at about 126. Al Batson trying to finish strong, but he left one open here.
And it's the dreaded 5-pin, as I always say. That one pin in the middle. I never understand how you can just leave that one up, and he misses.
Well, it happens. It happens. Because if you don't hit it true at the very beginning, if you don't hit your spot, that was part of the reason why you left that pin there anyway. So when you roll up on it and you miss it, it kind of makes sense. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. Just left that one there because I'm trying to hit that head pin, and the head pin's the only one left, and nothing I can do because I'm just going to miss. I missed it the first time. I'm going to miss it that time. Most people are aiming for at least the edge of the head pin. So when you leave that one open, it's ugly. DCA's far side on lane number 1 actually has a 7-10 split working here. It's actually the same young man who picked up the 7-10 split earlier on lane 1. Let's see whether or not he can pick this up. He does not this time. I am still shocked and confused at how exactly he did it the first time. However, over there on lane 2, Kyle Maxon rolling strong with a strike. He's just acting like it's no big deal. He's already at 197, not even breaking a sweat. You know, he might be breaking a sweat. I'm not sure. I can't really see his sweat glands.
I just don't know what to say. I didn't know it was possible to break a sweat in bowling.
You have clearly not played Wii bowling. Like I was telling you earlier, when I'm in my Wii bowling suit, you have no idea how much of a workout that is.
Do you usually wear a headband?
I wear one of those red headbands. Yeah, exactly, because my character is red as well. Again, Jason Charlton, and I'm sure David Best at this point are super excited to have a visual image of me in these outfits, which is pretty exciting. Austin Binkley comes away, misses a spare over on the side, but gets 9 pins. He's at 168 in the 9th frame, which is pretty strong. His opponent is at 127. His opponent was subbed in, John Olson, was subbed in, is at 127 with 4 pins left on his 9th frame as well. He picks up 3 of the 4, misses 1, much like Binkley did. So they're pretty much even as they go into the 3rd frame because neither of them can pick up really very much. So Austin Binkley up by 30 on his player. Kyle Maxon up by about 27 on his. And Al Batson, who has been struggling just a little bit, is going to be down by probably about 20 on his. Especially considering the fact that his opponent just rolled his 2nd strike in a row.
That puts him down by 30.
That puts him down by 30.
Kyle just broke the 200 mark, and he's at 215 now. And if he picks up this spare, it will give him a 3rd chance.
And he does.
So that will give him a 3rd bowl in the 10th frame.
He's at 217. So whatever he picks up here, it's really just a question of whether or not it's really going to be the question of how much of a victory he's going to have it. And he rolls 6 there. So he's going to be in about the 220s range. It's going to be 223 for Kyle Maxon. Which, coincidentally enough, is pretty close to what Austin Binkley was trying to get here. Austin Binkley, however, is at 168 and on his final roll as well in the 10th frame. Austin Binkley gets a strike to start it off. Pretty much an insurmountable lead when you've got a strike. You're at 178, and the guy behind you is 130. Pretty much not going to happen. You're not going to catch up, probably.
And they're bowling right next to each other here, so it's going to be bowl for bowl.
Just a little bit of an intimidation defense kind of thing there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, anything you can do, I can do better. Austin Binkley comes down with a 9 on that frame.
And so does his competitor.
And his competitor does as well. However, the question is, how exactly is Austin going to finish this out? Austin's got a good chance to get a pretty good score here if he actually knocks this down to finish off with a spare. Fortunately, a miss right there from his competitor. Austin Binkley rolls in, misses the spare.
Finishes up
Just
with
a bit inside.
187.
187.
Misses mark.
However, Austin Binkley does beat his competitor, John Olson, who was subbed in here for this final game. It was a score of 187 to 139. Pretty decisive, pretty strong victory here.
And here's Donnie Turner looking pretty strong over there. He's got 3 strikes in a row, going for his 4th and 5th here in the 10th frame.
That's exactly right. He's already at 207, it looks like.
Yet again, going for a turkey in the 10th frame alone.
I feel like we've done that before. I feel like we've said those words before. Donnie Turner with a very rare fault here. Not fault, obviously his foot didn't step over the line, but a very, very rare falter to his score here. However, Al Batson comes in with a strong strike as well. Al Batson at 187 has one more roll left. Donnie Turner with 9 pins up has 1 pin left. Knocked down 9 pins on his first roll. Final roll on the 10th frame. He has the ability to grab a spare here. Let's see who's going to roll first. It looks like Al's going to roll first to finish out, just to kind of see exactly what his score is going to be on this final round. Al rolls well, hits 8 down, which is going to put him at 195. Donnie Turner hits to save this spare and ends up with 226, it looks like. On the plus side here, Ezell-Harding, it looks like, won the pin total on that one.
They did.
So Ezell-Harding had 605 to 543, which is moral victories all around. You know, moral victory all around. In lane 2, we're finishing up. It's looking like DCA beat their number one roller, beat Ezell-Harding's by about 5 points. Their number 2 roller beat Ezell-Harding by 10 points. And almost in an unfair advantage here, it's looking like DCA beats Ezell by nearly 100 points on the 3rd roller.
Their 3rd roller, Ross Dewey, I'm thinking they should have made their 3rd roller for the 18.
I know. I feel like this kid might be an A roller, but they might have put him down there just so that they could demolish. You know, he's walking away with 237. 237, Ross Dewey. That is impressive. 237, by the way, would have beat every single person on the lanes 1 and 2 in this round, just in case you were wondering. 237 almost beats the entire score of Ezell-Harding. Let's go ahead and put that in perspective, by the way, on this B side. Ezell-Harding on lane 4 gets 298 points. Ross Dewey alone gets 237. That's a strong showing right there. On the girls' side, it's looking like DCA's girls are just pulling away. This Valerie Henry girl has just rolled 5 strikes in a row. I don't know if you've actually seen this. This may have been the quiet match of the game, but Valerie Henry has rolled 6 strikes in her game and 5 in a row, making it so that she's at about 148 without any of the additions right now, which is pretty exciting for anybody who enjoys bowling. And she's borderline embarrassed because I think we're talking about her on the radio right now. As a matter of fact, if we could zoom in on this, that would be great. I'm just kidding. No, now she's walking away. That's great. We're not 100% trying to intimidate other people, but
She's 98.
I've been told by our stage manager that we're gonna call it quits here at Ezell-Harding's first live streamed bowling match. Hoping beyond hope that what happens is Ezell-Harding pulls out some great stuff in our girls' league. Great games, especially at the very end, by our guys. Binkley, Maxon playing just games that were just wonderful. Binkley didn't quite get to the 225 that he was hoping at. However, Kyle Maxon almost did. So what we're going to do here for Ezell-Harding's Eagle Network is we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you again later.